Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for attending our webinar today. This is Jim Guinan. I'm an Annuity Sales Director here with Insurance Agency Marketing. I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Our topic is annuities versus CDs. We will talk a little bit about how annuities and certificate of deposits are similar and different, and give you some ammo to not only be more informed about how certificates work and annuities, but help you maybe position that for some cross-selling opportunities. So we will talk in depth about this in a little moment. I do want to remind you that our webinar is recorded today, so we will be able to play this back for you. We will have a recording made available this afternoon, most likely this afternoon. And so if for some reason you can't attend the whole event, or you want to tune in a little later and hear it again, we'll be glad to. Of course, any questions that you have, if they're not answered during the presentation, send me a question, type in a question, or just give me a shout after we're done, and I'll be glad to visit with you a little bit further. With that, I want to talk with you about some a little bit of the events going on here at Insurance Agency Marketing, some of the same ideas that we've been working with for a number of years, but that are working well for us to help you in your practice, and that is our business builders. So a couple areas I want to tell you about that are ongoing incentive programs for you as a producer. Our referred producer program, basically you refer an agent to us, and when that individual contracts, we will pay you a $50 referral bonus. And then as that individual continues to write business, we basically pay you 20 basis points or a fifth of percent on that business thereafter. And of course, this is unlimited. You're not capped at a producer or two per year. You could refer a number of people to us, and really that's all you have to do. So if you know anyone out there that's in the business of writing life insurance or fixed annuities, and they're not getting the service they need, they're not finding the products they want, they're not getting educated on what's out there in those markets like they should be, refer them to us, refer them to me, and I'll be glad to follow up with them. Also, our marketing reimbursement program continues to help producers like yourself with your business expenses. And so as you write business through IAMS, we throw money into the marketing reimbursement account for you, and then that can be used later for reimbursement on expenses. So you submit the receipts, and we will reimburse you 50% for those business expenses. Okay. Then the other, of course, business builder is our new producer bonus, which continues to be successful. As you can see, these are some levels that you can hit in your first 180 days of being contracted with us. And I do want to point that out. It's being contracted. So if you contract with a carrier or two, but you don't write business for 3 months, you only have 3 months left. So you want to hit the ground running to maximize your reimbursement or your bonus, so to speak, on this new producer bonus. So at the end of 6 months, whatever threshold on this screen here that you've hit, those are some items that you could look to be rewarded with. So for example, at 300,000, you could be looking at a Social Security program and a 3,000 piece mailing, some money going into your marketing reimbursement, or you could do a $1,500 gift card or a $1,500 check. Okay, so that's our way of saying thank you for placing business with us when you first get appointed with us here at Insurance Agency Marketing. Okay. Okay, talking a little bit about our back office support. Now, these are people that not only support you, but they support me. For example, in the paperless contracting. That's a tool that certainly helps us as marketers, but it helps you because it cuts down on all the continual need to fill out contracting. So you fill the paperless contract out once, that enables you to get appointed with about 90% of our companies without ever having to fill anything out again. Of course, the life and annuity quotes are provided to you through coordinators and marketers themselves. We also have individuals that help us with those quotes when we're quite busy. Case design assistance, of course, is what we do along with our coordinators. So all these tools are to help you save on time. And let's face it, it's hard to keep up with what 35 different annuity companies are offering at any given time. So what are the best rates out there? What are the products that have a nursing home enhancement? What products right to age 90? Those are things that we keep track of. We have the tools to help us keep track of it for you so that you can free up time to go sell. I mean, that's how you make your living. So again, these are all things that certainly all IMOs should be doing. I think we do it very well. Okay, our creative department helps us with things like helping design websites for agents. They're also busy with branding and email newsletters, for example. So if you have any of the need for those things on your screen right now, I would suggest talking with Jacob and the creative department team to get some ideas of what they can do to help you. So they may ask you, what are you doing right now for your business? How are you trying to tie in a certain theme in your branding? Talk with them, get some ideas, even if you don't utilize that, and they'll let you know what they can do and what it might cost to do so. Okay, and the IAMS website is www.iamsinc.com. That's IAMSINC.com. And our website helps us in a number of ways. First of all, if you need to see some rates, we are printed out a rate book about once every week or so. That is put online. That book is a resource tool for us. We help you with that. It lists, excuse me, the companies that have the best multi-year rates. It lists our top companies and the best products within their portfolio. It also has a section with income riders, what the roll-ups are, what the fees are, any other enhancements with it. So the great thing is that you can access that at any time through our website. You can also get term quotes. You can find our webinar schedule, and we have a resource library that is very good. If you've not been on our website lately and you've not walked through some of the areas that we have in there, especially that resource library, you need to do that. There are fact finders in there. There's financial calculators. There's all sorts of resource tools that you can use in your practice that we make available to you free. All right. Again, www.iamsinc.com, and very easy to create a login to get into our website. Okay, I want to talk about IAMS Wealth Management. Insurance agency marketing has now had a division, the IAMS Wealth Management, for about 2 years. And this has grown substantially. So we have our own registered investment advisor. If you would like to know more about how this could work for you in your business, I would suggest reaching out to Charles and his team, and they can give you an idea of how this could help your business grow. What are the costs involved? What are the testing requirements and the ongoing program itself? So many of you probably already know what registered investment advisors do, but if you've been looking for ways to grow your business, I think you might want to suggest, I would suggest looking into this a little further. I'm going to launch a question now. If you'd like to get more information from Charles and his team about what is involved and what it costs and, what kind of revenue you can generate, for example, they'll be glad to visit with you. After the webinar is over, for those of you that have answered yes to that question, they will have you will be contacted. I believe that someone will give you a call. They might call you before I get to call you, but they will reach out and at least try to talk with you, maybe get you some materials as to whether this part of the business could work for you. So, for example, if you are working with clients primarily in their 50s and 60s, for example, and you'd like to reach out to clients maybe of a younger age or that have assets that you've really kind of turned away or referred to someone else, this would be a way to maybe now capture some of those dollars. They look at you as the advisor for their safe money retirement dollars, but maybe they could work with you on all of their retirement dollars. So again, if you answer yes or no, that's fine. Just I'm going to close this out right now, but they'll be glad to answer any questions you have about this. Again, we've had the RIA now for over 2 years. Okay, and I want to talk about our Life and Annuity Academy. We do have one more academy scheduled for this year. This will be in October. I don't have the exact dates yet. It will be in conjunction with one of our top carriers over in Des Moines. So the location will be Des Moines, Iowa. Excuse me. If you're writing fixed annuity business or life business, this could be a training for you. So it is a 2-day all expense paid program. As you can see on the screen, some of the topics that we go through, we do update it every time. Over the last year, we spent some time talking about the DOL. Well, we don't have to do that now, but we do update it to be timely, to give you some ideas as to how to grow your business, some tools that you could use. For example, seminar selling, if you'd like. We talk about single premium life opportunities, advanced topics in the annuity area, and you do get to meet home office individuals as well as top producing agents. So it is a 2-day training. It usually starts on a Wednesday evening for a few hours, all day Thursday and a half day Friday, and you're out. We usually invite about 35 to 40 producers. The goal for this particular training is only 25. So we are accepting registrations right now. If you'd like to get more information or a registration, I would suggest doing so. We'll be glad to review your registration. We do want to see what kind of business you've been writing. Since it's all expense paid program, we do want to invite those individuals that are writing business, because we want to help you grow that business. So if you would take the time there, answer yes or no to the Academy question. And after the webinar is over today, we will send out a link that'll have the registration, and it'll give you the ability to send in the registration for that. Like I said, we are accepting registrations. The date is in October. I don't have the exact date yet, but we will confirm that in the near future. All right. Our goal is to have at least 3 of these a year. We've already had 2 academies, so my guess is that this will be the last one for the 2018. And I do want to thank you for your response to that. Okay. Moving on, Did want to mention to you our 2019 Marketing Summit will be held in August of 2019 in Naples, Florida. This is a educational and social event, but it is invitational. Qualification period that we look at in order to determine eligibility is January 1 of this year through June 30th of 2019. So it's an 18-month window. And we just recently updated our list of agents that are writing business with us. If you have questions about this, please let me know, let our team know, our annuity marketing, life marketing, and we'll be glad to tell you more. But as you can see, what the goal is in order to be invited for this marketing summit. Again, it will be at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida in August of 2019. We look forward to seeing you at that event. Okay, now I'd like to move on to our topic of the day. As I mentioned, our presentation is annuities versus CDs. Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about annuities and certificates. And they're both savings vehicles with better rates than just a regular bank account like a savings or a checking. And we're going to talk about some advantages that they have. They each have advantages in their place in the financial picture, so to speak. But we want to look at three key areas: accumulation, benefits of tax deferral, and cash accessibility. Okay? So, let me back up. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about accumulation. Let me get on the right slide. Sorry about that. Let's talk about accumulation a little bit further, okay? So generally, CDs have a shorter maturity period. They can be as short as 1 month to several years. And of course, CDs are issued by banks or a credit union. And the objective with the certificate, of course, is just a shorter term goal. So it's not to have the money tied up for very long. It's just a short-term objective. And again, so the interest rate on a certificate is usually like a lower rate because you're not committing to a very long period of time. So you're not telling the institution that you want to have it there for very long. So they're going to give you an accompanying lower rate than maybe other investments could do so. But the rate of return on a CD is guaranteed for its maturity period. So in other words, the rate matches the certificate period, so to speak. When we talk about annuities are issued by life insurance companies, and of course they're for longer term. An annuity is really a retirement vehicle. It may have a shorter term surrender length to it, but it is a retirement vehicle. So typically it can be for a very long period of time. But they are also for accumulation, typically more for retirement needs that are longer than, say, a few years. Okay, so because they have terms that can be longer, they can and could have the potential for a better return than any bank instrument out there. Right? Let's talk about tax deferral. So the interest on that's paid on a certificate is considered income in the year it's earned. So it is subject to income taxes. And for our discussion here, we're not going to talk about if you had contributed your IRA into a certificate at the bank, because that would change that a little bit. But many certificates are not IRAs. They're simply non-qualified funds. So as that interest is accruing on your certificate, you're paying taxes on it at the end of the year. So whether you receive income from that or whether you let it compound in to the certificate, you will get a tax document at the end of the year that shows what you owe as ordinary income taxes. So there's really no deferral. Well, interest on annuities, on the other hand, is deferred until the distributions begin. And so the rate that you earn is compounded and it is tax deferred. So you could defer that for many, many years. The owner of that vehicle decides when they take money out, that's when there'll be a taxable event. So that is a powerful thing when you consider that you could defer that for many, many years if you choose to do so. Okay, and then let's talk about the third category or feature here, which is cash accessibility. Now, one advantage that certificates have is that the term may not be that long. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, even 2 years. When that period of time is up, the owner of a certificate can take the money out and do something else with that, with those funds. So it's not tied up extremely long. But in the time that those dollars are invested into that time certificate, there are no withdrawals available. So if you purchase a 1-year certificate and you need some money, the only way you could go get it from the certificate would be to break into the CD and pay a penalty. So they don't have a built-in withdrawal feature. But on the other hand, they're not tied up for extremely long periods of time. Annuities, of course, since they are a retirement investment savings vehicle, so to speak, they are designed for a longer term. So you may not necessarily be able to take all the money out in 2 years or 3 years in many situations, but unlike a certificate, they do have withdrawal features. So you may be able to take interest out every month or once a year, or you may be able to take out as much as 10% of the accumulated value on the annuity. So it does offer that benefit because it is a little bit longer vehicle. So it does have accessibility in the withdrawals. Okay, so let's talk side-by-side comparisons here. And on the left, you'll see some various features and how they are different. So when we talk about loss protection, annuities are backed by the insurance company that issues them. So basically, they guarantee that the principal will not be lost. So annuities have a guarantee of principal feature. They are also insured in the sense of that for every dollar that's issued by an insurance, every dollar that's taken in and issued, there is a reserving for those dollars, and usually it's in excess of 100%. Okay, on the certificates, you have the FDIC, which insures up to $250,000 per account per institution. It's a different backing. Let's talk about withdrawal charges. So annuities are a little bit longer investment vehicle, and they do have a defined surrender schedule. There are annuities with surrender schedules as short as 2 years, 3 years, some with as long as 15 years. Those are declining, and basically when those surrender charges are gone, the dollars in those annuities can be moved to another investment vehicle if the owner decides to do so. With a certificate of deposit, in essence, the withdrawal penalties are varying depending on the term, and so there is not a defined surrender schedule, but you decide when you take out the certificate how long the term will be, and then there is a penalty if you compromise that. It's an interest penalty. When we talk about access, annuities offer up to a free annual withdrawal of 10%. Sometimes it's interest only. And there are some exceptions to that. For example, if there was a situation where there was a nursing home need, there are products that will allow you to access all of the money without penalty due to confinement. We talk about certificates. They do have shorter time frames. The money in the CDs will be accessible sooner, but they don't have penalty-free withdrawals, as I mentioned before, inside those terms. So if you buy a 2-year CD, you don't have the ability to take interest out after 30 days, but all of the money will be free in 2 years. Okay, effect on Social Security benefits. Interest on annuities is deferred until the payment begins. It's not counted towards tax liability on Social Security. CD interest is counted toward taxation on Social Security benefits the year it's earned, and that could lead to higher taxes on monthly benefits. Let's talk about taxation a little bit. Annuities are tax deferred, and the interest income is not reported or taxed until it's taken out. And so as the owner, you have the authority to take the money out, and then at that point there'd be a taxable event. So you can actually defer it for a number of years. CD interest is reported and taxed the year it's earned. It's true whether it's withdrawn or not, and I did mention that before to you. Okay, so let's do an overview here and talk about annuity versus CD. Let's discuss principal, market risk, and price fluctuations. Well, both of these vehicles are free from principal and market risk because the annuity is a guarantee of principal investment through an insurance company, and the insurance company purchases bonds for their guarantees, for their principal guarantees. The certificate of deposit is issued by a bank. It is also free from market risk. So it has so how it returns has nothing to do with the market. Interest earnings are free from current taxation with an annuity, yes, if they continue to defer it, not with a CD. The earnings are reinvested automatically with no current income taxation. Annuity, yes, not with a certificate. And the tax liability on Social Security income, as was mentioned before, interest income from an annuity is not reportable until withdrawn. Not the case with a certificate. Let's look at some others. Liquidity. Well, the annuity is liquid in the sense that it has withdrawals. It does not have to be tied up for many, many years. Certificate of deposit, relatively liquid. Flexible means flexible premium. There are annuities that are flexible premium. Not all are, but if that's an important feature, you can find it. So generally, yes, they are flexible premium. A certificate of deposit is not. So if you want to add additional money, you would take out another certificate, or if that was near a maturity of another CD, you could take it out at maturity and add money to it and buy a new one, but you can't add to it. Are there penalty-free withdrawals? Yes, with the annuity. No, with the certificate. Are they free from probate? Yes, an annuity is, but the important part of this is that as long as the beneficiary is a named beneficiary, the annuity is free from probate. So if the client names their estate as a beneficiary, it would then go through probate. And a certificate of deposit, that's not free from probate. Taxation on withdrawals. There is no tax penalty on a certificate. There is a penalty on an annuity if they withdraw money out before 59 and a half. But really the answer is taxation on withdrawals. Yes, there may be taxation on withdrawals with the annuity. It depends on whether the withdrawal is gain. So yes, and on an annuity, or on a certificate, technically taxation, it is taxed whether they take it out or not. So this is addressing a penalty issue. And then how secured? Well, an annuity is backed by the full faith and credit of the insurance company and by state regulations. With a certificate, since it's issued through a bank or credit union, it's FDIC or FCUA insured up to $250,000. So it's insured whether it's through the credit union or a bank. So let's talk about how you could help a client reduce taxes with the CD rollover. Okay? So one way you could do this is to have a discussion with your prospect or client. Let's say that they've made a statement that they seem to pay a lot in taxes or have a lot of interest that's taxable. So you could help them by asking for their 1040 tax return, or you could illustrate the following diagram on paper. Okay, so you've got up here in the left corner, you got bank CDs, and it creates a 1099. So again, we know that the interest income that comes from a certificate of deposit is taxable, whether they receive it or not. So where does that show up? It shows up on line 8A on the 1040. Now, if that number is pretty big, knowing what we know about interest rates the last few years, that means there's a lot of money in there in a certificate, a deposit, or that in CDs as a whole. So a possible way to help your client, and it's a win-win, would be to determine for them, how much of those dollars do you really need to be in a certificate or in a shorter term bank instrument, and how could we make that money work better for you, both in return and eliminate some taxes. So a suggestion could be here, move the funds over to a tax controlled account like an annuity. And there are other types of accounts other than CDs that they could use. Tax deferred annuity, they could go into an IRA, a 401k, a SEP plan, life insurance. There's other ways to get better returns or make the money work better for them. But we're here visiting with them about retirement alternatives. And so what we can do is move that money into a tax-deferred annuity. So in a little bit here, I'm going to talk to you about what some rates, representative rates are. I just looked those up today to see what they were online and compare those to some guaranteed fixed rate annuities. And we still have the advantage here. So we can improve the rate of return, and that money instantly becomes tax deferred. So it won't generate a 1099, and we take from line 8A, we could reduce that substantially. Again, it has to fit with their suitability needs or their needs. In other words, we don't want to tie everything up that they have. We don't want to suggest taking everything out of a certificate or out of the bank. They may need that for a designated purpose or have just a comfort level. So we have to have that discussion, of course. Okay, so let's talk about, since we're talking about better rates in a tax-deferred vehicle, how does this really work for a client, and what are the advantages? Well, there's triple compounding that can be utilized here, which is interest on your principal, interest on your interest, and interest on the money you didn't lose to taxes. So in this example, we have $10,000. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll see it assumes a 7% constant yield and a 33% tax rate. So in the first graph, I should say, what we're showing here is interest-bearing accounts can generate interest on your principal, but if you spend the interest, the principal doesn't grow. So in essence, we're taking the income that comes off that $10,000, which would be about $700, I think. Is that right? $700. We're using that. So our principal's staying the same value. In the second frame, if you reinvest the interest, into your principal, your money will grow every year. So again, this is over 30 years. So over 30 years, we've had $10,000. We took $700 out every year. We used it. In the second example, we let that interest compound back in and add to the principal. So that 10 grand now becomes almost 40 grand. And in the third example, this is the interest if earned on the principal is reinvested and the principal remains untouched in a tax-deferred annuity, and you're not losing it to taxes. So then it becomes $76,000. Again, it's the power of compounding and tax deferral. Powerful. I don't think we emphasize this enough. And now that we have the advantage, and we do have the advantage in this market still, with interest rates on the rise, we have products, both traditional fixed and fixed index, that can do exactly this. If the clients can just let that money grow for retirement, they don't have to earn 25% a year in the market and then give it all back. If they can earn a steady return that's safe, it can really grow for them. Okay, it kind of goes back to the CD questionnaire. So if you're out there seeing your clients, you have hopefully all have a good fact finder. This is one page from a fact finder. It's kind of the section on CDs. And I want to highlight in the middle part of that, under the heading, it says your CDs. When you're going through this questionnaire and you're talking with your clients, some key parts to that you want to make sure you try to get information on is maturity date, of course, the interest rate. Those are important. The maturity date helps you to follow up with the client, make sure that when that comes due that you have another discussion about what could be done with that money. You know, if they were hesitant about talking about moving the money because of penalties or what have you, or not sure if they needed it yet, you want to X-date that maturity date as much as you can. So the other thing I think is very important is where it says, what is your goal? And I think that beyond the keep the principal and interest in my account or keep the principal in my account and withdraw interest, I think the bigger question is, what is the purpose of that money? What is the goal, but what is the purpose of that certificate? Just like any other asset, we need to find those things out. So, in summary, I just want to say that these are some things that should help you a little bit to educate your clients. If you've got a client that's got a lot of certificates and they've had them for a number of years, they probably know all these things. But what they don't know is how they could improve their situation, both in return and tax savings. And I think the biggest objection that you would hear, besides the fact that it's earmarked for something maybe short term or something very specific, is safety. So we have to know how to talk to the clients about the safety features of an annuity. You know, it's backed by the full faith and credit of an insurance company. The company has X amount of $1 billion in assets. For every dollar that goes into an annuity, there's reserving of usually 105%. And you've also got your state guarantee funds backing. But it's talking about safety, guarantee of principal, tax deferral, probate. Those are all important aspects. Wouldn't it make sense to consider that as an alternative, what some portion of your savings for retirement? Okay, so I did want to tell you, I looked online this morning and went to bankrate.com. It's a great website. It's bankrate.com. If you've not been there, this is the kind of information that can help you. There's some calculators on there, but they also quote you some rates. I looked up this morning some representative shorter term, well, they're not short, in the CD world, they're not necessarily short term, but in the annuity world, they are. To give you a comparison of rates. So, 3-year certificate, I found online, I think it's $10,000 minimum, was 2.7%. I will add, that's an online bank rate. So I don't know how far I had to go down to find a physical bank. A lot of these are online. That's the other thing. So I know my mom, who's 95 years old, does not have an online bank account with certificates. She goes into the bank. So she may not be even getting the best rate. But 3-year rate, 2.7. My best 3-year rate on a fixed annuity right now is 3.1. So we've got them beat, don't we? On a 5-year online banking, bankrate.com, 3%. I have 5-year rates from 3.8 to 4% depending on the liquidity need of your client. If they don't need liquidity and they don't care about full death benefit, you can find 4% out there. Again, depending on the state, depending on the age. I'll hedge that because I don't know your specific situation or your prospects. But the bankrate.com rate is 3% on a 5-year. We have carriers with 5-year rates from 3.8 to 4%. And the best 6-year, which is the highest I could find anywhere on bankrate.com, they didn't go beyond 6 years, was 3.1. I didn't look up a 6-year annuity rate, but I know I have a 7-year at 4.1. Okay, so we have the rates that can support moving money. It's tax deferred, won't generate a 1099. It's safe, and you get a better return. It's a win-win. So I think you've got some information, some ammo that you can go to your clients with and talk about certificates and money markets. Remember, October is the biggest certificate renewal month, and we're coming up on that. So October is only 3 months away. A couple other key points I'd like to make, and then we're done today. If you're identifying easy pieces of business to write, you want to focus on IRAs. Now, before we were talking about or I mentioned that certificates generate taxable 1099 regardless of whether they take it or not. The exception would be IRAs. So, do a lot of individuals put their IRA contribution into a certificate? Yes, they do. So here's a question you want to ask your client. Since an IRA is a retirement vehicle and you're 10, 15, 20 years away from retirement, why would you put a long-term investment in a short-term vehicle? That's a good question. And I've asked clients that over the years, and it's helped me roll a lot of that business out. It makes no sense at all to put an IRA in a certificate of deposit in a bank. I've never found a valid argument for that. We have longer term vehicles. Again, I've been quoting you, I just quoted some rates, but you can buy an annuity with a fixed guaranteed rate of 3 through 10 years, and you can find other annuities that are not extremely long either. So we have better rates and we have tax deferral. They're already committing the money for retirement. Why not give them a retirement vehicle that has better benefits and better returns or better return potential through an index? And then lastly, as I mentioned, we do have fixed guaranteed rate annuities, 3 through 10 years. Some of them issued age 90 with 10% access. But we also have fixed indexed. And as a brokerage, about 75 to 80% of our business is still indexed business. But there's a big misconception out there that all that we do is recommend high bonus, long surrender products. And that's not true. Some of the best rates, both capped and uncapped strategies on indexed annuities today are on products that are 7 years in length. Some are 5, some are 7. There's 6-year also. And of course, there's 10-year rates. But the best upside potential returns on indexed annuities right now today are non-bonus products in around 7 years. And they're showing good results. So they still have the same benefits of a traditional fixed product. They guarantee the principal. They're tax deferred. They avoid probate. They're liquid. And they can have other benefits too. So in your comparison of certificates, it doesn't just have to be a fixed rate. It could be a shorter term index product. It has all the benefits of an annuity. So I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate it very much. If you have any questions at all about what I went over today, feel free to contact me. You can email me at james@iamsinc.com, or you can give us a call here at the office. I'll be glad to go through any of the material that we went through. If you have any situations you'd like to discuss or specifically products, I will mention one more thing, one more question. If you'd like to get more information on any of our carriers, both for fixed only or those shorter term index, you'd like to get contracted, but also get some information on some good options for you and your clients, feel free to respond to that poll question. I'd be glad to get out what you need or answer any questions you have. I do appreciate your time today and hope that you have good success in the following week. I do thank you very much. Have a great day.